So when Donald Trump was on 60 Minutes, he admitted out loud that he didn't know a person who he pardoned. He just said that he heard that it was a Biden witch hunt. What did I say here on the channel? I'm really not trying to do a flex moment because we all said this, but we all said it doesn't matter who it is. Donald Trump's going to pardon whoever it is if someone just says to him that, hey, this person was involved in a Biden witch hunt. That's why that recently when Patricia Krenwinkel from the Manson family came up for parole, I thought, dang, she missed a golden opportunity. She's in California. All she had to do was say that her parole got rejected because she supports Donald Trump, and Gavin Newsom knocked it down. And so he's a radical left lunatic just robbing her of her freedom. And if she could get out and they could flip some stuff around and let a felon vote, then she would vote for him again. She would have got a pass. Now, some people says, Brando, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. Is it really? Considering all the people that Donald Trump just blindly and now is admitting that he blindly pardoned. So I'm going to bring up this article here from the New York Times. We're going to read a little bit of this, and then we're going to show how that MAGA is reacting to this. Because to tell you the truth, folks, there is no defending it. They can't defend it. So we'll see in a minute how Mike Johnson and old Markwayne Mullin. I always want to crack up whenever I say Markwayne Mullin just because it's one word. No offense to anyone out there that's got one word names. Nothing wrong with that, but I just hear hillbillies around my, hey, Markwayne. I just hear people around here saying it, and I always crack up. So we'll be showing more of that jackass here in just a minute. But first, let's read this from the article. So Trump, this is New York Times. Trump says he doesn't know the crypto billionaire that he pardoned. Now, I know I'm going to butcher this name before we even get started, but Changbing Zhao has admitted to violations that allowed criminals to move money on the cryptocurrency exchange he founded, which struck a lucrative deal involving the Trump families on venture. So Donald Trump last month granted a pardon to Changbing Zhao, the billionaire founder of the cryptocurrency exchange, who had pleaded guilty to money laundering violations in 2023, and whose company struck a business deal in May involving the Trump family's crypto venture. But the president now claims that he does not know who Mr. Zhao was. Trump distanced himself from Mr. Zhao in the interview with 60 Minutes broadcast on Sunday, during which he was questioned about the pardon. He said, I don't know who he is. I know he got a 4-month sentence or something like that, and I heard it was a Biden witch hunt. Folks, that's all it took. That's all they had to say to him to get him to grant this dude a pardon. That's it. All you had to say was, hey, he got a 4-month sentence or something like that, and it's a Biden witch hunt. And boom, the dude is pardoned. So in seeking his pardon, the dude hired lawyers and lobbyists with the ties to the Trump administration, while Binance struck a business deal involving World Liberty Financial, the Trump family's crypto venture, that was expected to generate tens of millions of dollars a year for the Trump family. Asked whether he worried about the appearance of corruption, Trump replied that he was not concerned. I would rather not have you ask the question, but I'll let you ask it, he said. During the interview, Trump suggested that his older sons, Don Jr. and Eric, both of whom stood alongside him when he rolled out the World Liberty Financial in 2024, were involved in the family's crypto business. My sons are into it, he said. I'm glad they are because it's probably a great industry, crypto. I think it's good. You know, they're running a business. They're not in government. So I don't really have to read any more of that. We can pretty much come to this conclusion that if Donald Trump is handed an executive order and told to sign it, he will. And the only thing that they have to do behind the scenes, the ones that's running the show, J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, Russ Vought, all they got to do is go, wait a minute, how can we get this criminal off? How can we give this guy a free pass? Oh, we'll just tell him that it was a Biden witch hunt. Tell him that Joe Biden came after it. Again, I know I do whataboutisms here on the channel, but we do have to be reasonable and say that if Joe Biden had have said, I don't know who that is, Donald Trump and MAGA would be absolutely losing their mind. They want to talk about the auto pen and how that nothing counts that was signed by that. Well, couldn't we make the same argument and say, you know what, if he doesn't know who he's pardoning, then the rest of them are null and void. None of them count if he don't even know who the hell they are. And how many times here on the channel did we cover stories about people he pardoned who went right back out into the world and did it again? But speaking of Mike Johnson and old Markwayne Mullin, I can tell you what's going to happen here. I can already see this coming a mile away. There is no defending Donald Trump and his corruption. You can't. It's impossible. if you get too deep in the weeds, you're not even going to have to get deep in the weeds. If you sit down and try to defend him and his bullshit, you're going to get tripped up before you even get to the first gate. If this was an episode of Ninja Warrior, you wouldn't make it to the first obstacle that you wouldn't crash and burn. And that's what old Mike Johnson is going through here. So he basically just starts playing what I predict will become Maga's biggest hit over the next 3 years, which is, I don't know what you're talking about.
Last week on Friday, you said that
last week you came here to these mics and you were very critical of Joe Biden's use of the auto plan, his pardons. You said you didn't even know who he was pardoning. But last night on 60 Minutes, President Trump, admitted not knowing he pardoned a crypto billionaire who pleaded guilty to money laundering. Does that also concern you?
I don't know anything about that. I didn't see the interview. You have to ask the president about that. I'm not sure. Yes, ma'am.
He couldn't even look up. He couldn't even look the person in the eye. That's one of the most awkward moments. But it's becoming more and more Mike Johnson. When you see him, it's just like, I don't know anything about it. It's like the family that had the asshole dad that the whole neighborhood knew. Man, that guy is a prick to his family. And you're like, hey, I heard your dad was down at the bar and he threw a fit and he broke somebody's windshield out. Like, you'll have to ask him. I don't know about it. That's pretty much what it is. And here's old Markwayne. Pretty much playing the same hit. I guarantee you they've gathered around in a circle somewhere and went, how the hell do we spin this? Just tell them you don't know what you're talking about. Just tell them you ain't heard nothing about it.
Should the president know who he's pardoning?
Well, I don't know anything about this one. That's the first time I've seen that. But I would say the president has the authority to pardon people, and that's within his realm to do it. So I'm not going to question who he pardons or who he doesn't pardon.
I'm not going to question who he pardons or doesn't pardon. I'm just going to be loyally blind to this cult leader. I'm not going to give a shit. If he says it's okay to pardon him, I'm going to go along with it. And all we got to do if we want to get the Manson family out of prison is just simply come up and say, hey, it was a Biden witch hunt. And here's the thing. I guarantee you that they could get Tex Watson out of prison if he's still alive. They could get him out too. He's the one that actually done the hacking for the Manson family. They could get him out. And he'd have a cabinet position, and people says, Brando, you're crazy now. They wouldn't do that. He don't know who the hell he's pardoning. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And they want to sit back and talk about the auto pen. They want to sit back and talk about how that everything that Joe Biden ever did doesn't count. And you've got a dude who doesn't know the criminals, and that's the key word here, the criminals that he is pardoning. The people that went to the Capitol on January 6th went there with the intention of overthrowing the government. And they did so because Donald Trump lied to them and told them that Joe Biden stole the election. He had no evidence, no proof. He told them that anyway. They went there. We've got it on video. We watched it happen that day. They were kicking down the doors. They were busting windows. They were putting their feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk. And then you've got people dumb enough to go, yeah, but wouldn't some of them let in? Well, I always say this. And I have had more people message me when I say this because for whatever reason this really strikes a nerve, and it probably strikes a nerve because it's true. But I will say that if that had been black people on January 6th, they would not have made it that far. Trust me, Donald Trump would not have been talking about Nancy Pelosi and the National Guard. He would have absolutely went for it, and it would have been an absolute disaster. And deep down, everybody pretty much could agree on that if they would just admit it. But this is going to be MAGA's new thing. It's going to be the way that they handle this because they have to, folks. How can you defend a criminal pardoning criminals? How can you defend a criminal who doesn't know that he's pardoning criminals? What it is, not only is Trump a criminal, he's surrounded by criminals. And those criminals say, hey, we got the ultimate criminal sitting here who'll do anything we ask. So let's just get all of our criminal buddies off too. Hey, it was a Biden witch hunt. That's all they got to say. They would let anybody walk. They would condone anything. And another new talking point that they're going to use is they're going to say, well, Democrats will do it too. We have to do it before the Democrats. The Democrats already did it. The Democrats already did. They already went after their political opponents. No. Donald Trump was being held accountable, and MAGA was being held accountable for the things that we all saw him do right out in the open. And I will continue to drive that point home. They were being held accountable for the things they did out in the open. It was not the weaponization of government. It was them being held accountable. And it slipped away. Merrick Garland, with the biggest fumble in American history, Like if you had a Mount Rushmore of the most useless people that just absolutely blew, if you had a Mount Rushmore of who blew it the biggest, Merrick Garland would have a spot like right where George Washington's head would be. He'd be front and center on that damn thing. Like, there it is. Complete blown and missed opportunity. We had it and we let it slip away. And now criminals are pardoning criminals and they don't even remember doing it. All they know is it was a Biden witch hunt, so turn these criminals back on the street. It's absolutely insane. But folks, I do appreciate y'all so much for supporting my work and what I do here on the channel. Shout out to the MeidasTouch Network and everyone who has helped me to get us to this point. I really appreciate all of you for liking and sharing my videos and getting them out there to the world. We'll keep calling this stuff out. It's not normal. We're living in insane times, and we have to be willing to say that. You can't sit back and just let things happen and not talk about it. And you know, I've never felt more compelled in my life to talk about it. I was already talking about it years ago, but the deeper in the weeds we get with this, the more I realize we have to get even louder, and we will. And I appreciate y'all so much for supporting what it is that I do. Hang in there. We'll make it out of here. And if we ever do get Democrats back in office, we better have Democrats that will be willing to hold these people to account and not worry about MAGA and what they think about it or what some influencer somewhere thinks about it. These people have got to be held accountable. And when they sit there and go, we don't know what you're talking about. Oh, well, here, let us remind you. Here's Exhibit A. Here's Exhibit B. I mean, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard because they're doing everything right out in the open.